Hello, and welcome to Bluestocking Stories, Mary Baldwin University's podcast about the people and stories that make our community. I'm glad to have you listening as I interview Suzie Dull, Interim Executive Director of the McCree Center for Life Success and Director of Employer Relations and Workforce Development for Mary Baldwin University. Welcome, Suzie, to the podcast.
Thank you, Keith, for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Talk a little bit about McCree.
Well, Suzie does a lot for Mary Baldwin, as you might have gathered from her multiple lengthy titles. But I want to take a second to translate some of those titles into the more tangible work she does. As the executive director of the McCree Center, Suzie oversees that office's mission to sharpen students' workplace skills and prepare them for careers after college, aid them in developing professional materials like resumes and cover letters, and connect them with internship opportunities as well as potential jobs. If that wasn't enough, the second half of Suzie's job as Director of Employer Relations and Workforce Development keeps one of her feet on the other side of that college-career connection. She liaises with businesses, corporations, and industry leaders in the Shenandoah Valley and beyond in order to establish partnerships for the benefit of MBU and its students. I think I've talked plenty for the time being. Suzie, I want to start by asking you about your career path before Mary Baldwin, since that's the work you do here. You work with students to develop career plans, but what can you tell me about your own path?
Oh, I like to tell people that my career path is like a wonderful winding country road. It was beautiful. It is not the most direct route, but the things that you see and the people that you meet are fantastic. And I think that's some of my passion behind the work that I do, is I like some of the students that we see in the center. They come in, they know what they're going to do. They know the direction.
Doesn't everybody?
And I was that student. I knew what I was going to do. Again, I was picking an industry that I thought was, very out there and not what I saw in my day-to-day life. My father was an electrician. My mother worked in the business office at the hospital at the time. And so I was going to do fashion merchandising. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. And then realized maybe I don't want to go live in New York City. That doesn't seem to be part of my, where I see myself going. So I made a switch after graduation. And I applied for a job that was about sales, and I am extremely skilled at that. And when I went in for the interview, the HR person asked me to explain APR, the difference between APR and APY, and I did. Thank you, econ class. And he's like, I can teach you the rest. If you know the basics and you have the customer service and the skills, I can do the rest. Thank you, liberal arts background. Some of those pieces kind of what took me through. I stayed in banking for 20 years, ended up as a commercial banker. I did things in banking such as building a training department. I've also done some retail branch thing. I ran 6 branches, 3 of which were in a grocery store. So that's a different environment altogether. And then finally figured out, doing some reflection myself, looking at what I really love to do. It was helping, supporting, teaching, and connecting people. And it didn't matter what the product was, whether it was financial literacy, whether it was learning how to have customer service skills or how to do a home equity loan, you name it. Those were the pieces that I liked. And so I moved on to working for the Chamber of Commerce as the Director of Membership Development and Communications. And that, I was like, I started to really find a sweet spot. I love small business. I love all businesses. I really love those people that put their whole self into their business. It's their future, their family's future, and they're all in. And so I love making those connections between people and ideas, talking with someone over a cup of coffee and Diet Coke for me, sorry, not coffee. And hearing about this passion that they have, and then seeing that show up as a business in a year's time. So I think that's And then I ended up in higher ed. And so I think my path is why I'm so passionate and I love what I do now. It's really bringing together all of the pieces. It's the connection. It's the finding your passion and skills and putting that into a career, and really working with businesses to say, you need to build, we have some pre-professionals here that's ready to do that. But I also learned that career development is an ongoing process for all of us. And I try to tell students that I know you really think that in 4 years you're like, I'm done. But in the world that we live in now, as industries change and move, new technology comes up, you're never really going to stop
There's
learning.
always more to learn.
There's always more to learn. So those are the pieces about myself and how I ended up here. But really, as being a Stantonian, I was born and raised here, moved away, and came back. I love being able to talk about Mary Baldwin because they're such a big part of our area. And so I enjoy to be able to share what Mary Baldwin brings to our city and our economy and how we can help our business professionals.
Now, I've heard you a few times at least describe yourself as a recovering banker. And when I hear you say that, obviously, it is funny. I wish that I had a career change so I could steal it for myself. But it always makes me wonder, were you sick of working in the sort of banking sector and needed a change? Or was it more that you had developed these skills and you were like, well, how can I use these skills that I want to use more?
I think it can be a little bit of both sides. So I appreciate large businesses and what they do and the number of people they employ and the things that they add to a revenue base for any type of town or location. But I really love small business. That's just where my heart is. And I ended up working in an area where I wasn't able to help the small business, the mom and pops. And that's really what I wanted to do. And through the world of banking is always interesting. I used to, in my early years, the bank I worked for was the one buying everyone else. So I was on that side. I was on that side of the transaction. And then I became on the other side of the transaction of being bought. And I said, maybe this is the kick in the pants I need to, it was safe. Like I was doing what I knew to do. I had good connections. I was performing. I was being successful. How and why do you leave that? But then when you're like, thank you, come January 3rd, you will no longer be with us. And they were very nice about it, but I understood it. I'd done it long enough. And I was like, well, maybe this is my opportunity. My kid was very young at the time, so I took a couple of months and we played at the library and did all those things that you do with the little precious pumpkin. And then I said, okay, let's get back to it. And the position at the chamber came open. And so then it became some self-reflection as I moved forward. But I love banking and I love the people and the connections. I always still keep those skill sets up as I help some local nonprofits here. SCCF, I still serve on their loan review committee because you never say you'll never go back and do something. But that's kind of why I joke and say I'm a recovering banker because I was in it for so long and I did so many pieces. It was hard to walk away, but that opportunity kind of made me be able to take a step back and say, what do I want to do?
Yeah, and I find it really inspiring that your story is that you had a real established career and, you didn't need to change, but the choice to change came from a place of passion for you, that you were following what you really wanted to do rather than the simpler or easier thing, which probably would have been to find a similar job at a different bank, right? And
I had people reaching out as they had heard, and I was like, I'm just going to take, I'd kind of use staying home with my kid as a little bit of, let me just use this time. But then I had done some volunteer work for the Chamber of Commerce when I was still in the banking world. And so I knew the team there. I knew what they did, and I knew why they did what they did. And I knew how important they were to be the voice of business for our area. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So that's kind of how that switch made. I made that switch to that world. And then higher ed I love the training. I love helping people find new knowledge.
And it's just fun to work with young people, right? It really,
It is.
it's
and
nice.
I started out in the higher ed world, actually working for a community college in their workforce and continuing ed area. So it was the adult ed part, and I enjoyed that, of people, again, always knowing that you have to continue education to find the pieces. They just need the pieces of information or the background to be able to perform better at their job, to get a promotion at their job. So I was passionate about that because this was the next step for them. And anytime you can get someone to that college isn't scary. Sometimes people in that area, they had never set foot on a college campus. So they can come and take a HR certificate class and I did it. And I was successful at it. And they're like, okay, let's continue that. We can keep that going. So that's when this position came up. I'm like, oh, employer relations. And I get to work in career services and help people that look like, that had the same issues of me of, I know what I want to do, but really, was that what I wanted to do? I just, help people be exposed to careers that maybe they didn't know existed.
And so now you're at the helm of the McCree Center, which is still a young office at Mary Baldwin. So I'm interested in hearing from you, what is the McCree Center in your words?
So my words, we're here to really empower students to navigate career paths with confidence. Sounds very simple. There's a lot behind that, though. We guide them through the self-discovery, the skill building, how to network, all those things that are durable skills that employers are looking for, because we want them to enter the workforce really prepared and self-assured, to know the why behind who they're going to go work for, or to know that I have the skills to be successful. And sometimes it's both giving them the tools and the support for students to identify what that passion is and how that aligns with a professional goal. I guess having them leave Mary Baldwin with a clear sense of their purpose and strategy for achieving what is their career ambitions. But it's really the tools. They have it in themselves. Sometimes it's they need to find it, build up a skill, but then just supporting them through it. Because especially with 50% of our students being first generation, they haven't been exposed to some careers. They don't know things are options. That's always the big one that I'm behind, because I didn't know certain careers were out there, that someone really did that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that someone could work at the Javits Center in New York City and book conventions. I didn't know that was a job. I also didn't know it was a job to name paint colors at Lowe's. That probably doesn't happen now. AI probably does that, but that would have been fun. But I think it's if you think of a Venn diagram and you have passion and skills and purpose, and that really sweet spot in the middle is the career path. And we really we don't ever tell anyone what to do, but we just help guide them along with, we are not an island. We want to be out in all the areas of campus. So we rely with the relationships with our faculty and our academic advisors and student engagement and deans and all the other areas. As long as they're hearing it from all the places, we're just one piece of the support system. And so I want to make sure that the students always know, because we'll have this conversation and then say, now go to your faculty's office hours and talk to them about what does that look like? What does the class load look like to get where you're wanting to go? We don't ever kind of cross into that territory at all.
So this is all making sense to me so far, but just for the sake of people who might not have had a great experience with a career services center, or maybe any experience with a career services support center, How should students be taking advantage of the McCree Center, and why should students take advantage of the McCree Center? What do students actually get from you?
Well, they should engage with us early and often. I want a waiting line out of our door, actually. Here's what we're kind of looking at. So the first year, again, we've talked about, we've offered them skills and tools to help them assess their skills, values, and interests. We want them to keep coming back, because then, say that's your freshman year. What is my why? What direction am I going? Second year, you start to, earlier than some people think, you start to think of, do I want to study abroad? Do I need to go to grad school? Like, is my career trajectory, like, I need a graduate degree to move on? Because you kind of need to start researching and developing some of those pieces then. Junior year, it's internship. Where is your resume? How's your interview skills? What is your elevator pitch? Have you built out LinkedIn? Handshake? What is your networking? What does your network look like? But the earlier students start with our career services, the more tailored and effective we can really help them make their career journey. There's lots of statistics out there that people can look up about the success of students that come to a career service center and actually use the services, use the support, use the tools. They have more job offers. They have more interviews. They get paid internships a lot of times that turn, and as we know with internships, most of them turn into jobs. A high percentage of that does. So it's really just they should come often. We love that relationship that we have. Our team, we are small but mighty. We love to be able to have them come in and say, just to let you know, I did put in that application for the internship at Coca-Cola Consolidated. And we're like, great, because we have those relationships with some of the early talent recruiters. So then I can go back and say, my connection at Coca-Cola, hey, Abby, so-and-so just put in their application. Keep an eye out. And that's the employee relations part of what I do that kind of comes in, is building those relationships. But for my career services heart, I really want our students to come in early and often, even if they know their path, they know their pre-med, fantastic. Paul Diebel and that team, they have got you covered. They are experts. We can also help you make sure that, your LinkedIn is up. We can get you a headshot. How are you going to do your graduate interviews? We can help with all those pieces too, no matter what they're looking to do.
You and your team at the McCree Center, you offer a free resource, and a really good one, to any and all students who want it. But having taught and worked in higher ed, I suspect that you feel like more students should probably be coming to the McCree Center than already do, right?
They do. They should.
And
yes.
I'm sure this is the case for career centers across the country and the globe, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So I'm interested, since you've started working in McCree, what do students seem to respond to the best? Like, what do students, either what hooks students to bring them in, or what do students seem to like the most help with once they're in?
Okay, the lighthearted answer is what brings them in is food. That always seems to work. We can put our little sandwich board out there and say donuts, and we will have a line of traffic. But what keeps them there is, I think, that one-on-one support, because our team is very relationship focused. They want that relationship. We will contact you back and say, how did that go? Where is that resume? Sometimes in our advising sessions, we do give homework. I'm sorry, students, but we do. But it's for your own good, I promise. And we'll check back up.
And what might that look like? Is it something like list out any job experience you have and come?
So we can list these things out, and we can help you build out your handshake profile. We can also start to create your resume. It can be, think about, do some research. Find me 4 internships that you're really excited about, that kind of puts you in the direction you want to go. And then we'll come together once you have those researched, and we'll walk through them. What do you like about this one? What do you need to prepare? Because sometimes what they're asking for can be different. Sometimes there's a project, sometimes there's a presentation. So we'll walk through some of those. Or have you found, like, fill out this skills assessment. And this is the thing that we always talk about our students. These are things that are not meant to be passed. There's not a pass or fail, because sometimes in our school systems, it's a
What you're
test.
trained to believe.
They're
to
trained
understand
to
about
pass
things.
a test. This isn't a test. This is just you assessing your own skills. If you say at networking, I'm a 1, that is okay. We will help you figure out how to be an introvert and network, because people won't believe me, but I am an introvert. No one believes that, but I am. So we can help get through some of those pieces and build up that skill, because that's what you're going to need if you're looking at certain, anytime you're in a interview situation, you're going to need to network. How do you do that? So those are the things it's that relationship when they come in. We see them. There is a joke with a few people on campus that when they walk down the steps past our center and we can see them through the glass, we like run out like, hey, I didn't see you. Or, your appointment's next week. You still got that on your calendar, or you didn't show up for your appointment. We've been known to see people in Hunt or across campus, or at events, and remind them, hey, we're over here. But I think they like that, because they'll just come in and say, hey, did you see this happened? Or did you see, I filled that out on my handshake profile like you told me, Miss Suzie. I'm like, fantastic.
I mean, that's that one-on-one connection and support, though, right? Some people, maybe you should rebrand it as concierge reminders.
Right.
That
Oh,
will
I
track
like
you down
that.
at lunch.
I like that. But that's the great thing about our campus, and what I talk to prospective students about is it's small enough that we do get a chance to see you, and we do get that chance because in some of my research of career service at other institutions, it's all digital. It's very much
do this module to get your resume together.
Yeah. Watch this Canvas, class, or here's some documents that you can look at. We have some of those things too, because we all know that students are going to do things at 3 a.m. and our staff is very dedicated, but we're probably not up at 3.
Yeah.
So we do want to give them resources to be able to support themselves, but we really love that connection that we have to come in. They know where our offices are. They know where we're at. They see us. I've seen a few in town, whether I'm at the Food Lion or 7-Eleven or at an event. I'll see them and we'll kind of wave, and I always holler, "Go Squirrels," when they're wearing MBU gear.
And so, aside from those qualities of students who are ready to work and hungry to work, and some people in industry positions already are like, who knows how to do this? Well, we've got the students that know how to do this.
Correct.
What are some of the things that businesses or these industry people who you speak to like to hear about Mary Baldwin? What are they impressed with about Mary Baldwin from your perspective?
It was interesting when the State Department came on campus. I'm like, oh, State Department. And I'm trying to think about what degrees would that link to. And so I start talking to the diplomat in residence, and she was
Can we talk a little bit more about this? Because I
Yeah.
actually, I was there to take a few pictures, and I stuck around to listen a little bit too, because I was pretty interested. So the diplomat in residence, what is that? Who is that? Why did they come to visit us? Tell me the whole story.
So for the State Department, the diplomat in residence, her job is recruiting. She's a recruiter. It's the government. They love, as higher ed loves a good title, they do too. But it's to get the word out about what does the State Department do. I had to research it when she reached out to me. I'm like, oh, the State Department. What positions does the State Department have? And then was like, okay, and started talking to her a little bit more. I'm like, but what majors are you looking for? And she's like, we want everybody. And she said theater and performance several times. I'm like, oh, well, we've got that. We can definitely help you with that. She's like, well, if we have someone that's at a consulate in a country and something happens, we need someone that can be the face for us and that can read this script, read this, and have like good tone and inflection. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And they want all the different, they have medical needs. They have people are doing research about and working in different countries, and they need supply chain and logistics background, and they need those skill sets. So that's why I thought it was a good way to start the year off, is because it was everybody. Like they were really looking to hire anyone. And as we know, it is competitive, but it's also further out than, they were looking at, if you were looking at overseas internship, that was for summer of 26 that they were here recruiting for.
In the fall of 24.
Yeah. That's how far out it is. And I think getting that information out to our students is important, because I didn't know that it was that far out. I know that they're now recruiting for summer 25, most industries, but they were really looking out at 26. So that's why I tell all students, I don't care what year you are, you should come to these things, because you're going to learn something that's going to help you down the road.
So who came out for the State Department?
We had 49 students.
Which is a pretty good turnout.
That's
right?
a fantastic turnout. We had it scheduled for the McCree Center, and then I kept watching reservations, registrations go up, and I'm like, oh, I've got to move it to Miller. And everyone found us, and it was great. And we had a lot of people that didn't register, which is always fine too. And they just showed up that day, and they were a little quiet in the open question and answer, but she probably stayed another 20 minutes or 25 minutes afterwards asking individual questions. So there was a lot of energy about that particular. But that goes back to where I said, exposing people to industries where they didn't know it was an opportunity, and they didn't know where they would fit in to that opportunity.
So I just want to ask one more question before I let you go here. It's sort of a big picture question.
Okay.
Where is the McCree Center heading? What opportunities do you see for the McCree Center to offer more support? What kinds of things are you interested in investing in to expand the McCree Center's offerings? Or improve the existing offerings? How might, if there's no expansion, how are we investing to improve existing offerings?
We can always expand. So this is fun, because I love to look at the future and what we can do. What I see is really an opportunity to evolve the center, to evolve to a more integrated career ecosystem in a way, that combines your really traditional career services, all the things, but add those very direct industry partnerships. So have very clear, this accounting firm, we have a very clear partnership with them. They'll come in and help with the resume pieces for that, or they'll sit in on practice interview panels, really developing that so it's clear. I know that this business has a spot for 3 of our students, and I know that we're developing those pathways for our students. That's where I would love to lead our students at, is to build that for them, and know that it's quality internships, know that they're gonna know what learning objectives they're gonna have during an internship or micro internship. And 78% of internships turn into jobs in the state of Virginia, but building that for them. I think that giving them more hands-on learning opportunities is something else. We're now really working with students to find out, what did they do in the summer of 2024? Where were their internships? Because a lot of them are working and doing things. They're not a for credit internship, but they are building some of those skills. So having those conversations. There's also room to grow in terms of offering more targeted development for specific industries, whether it be specific to digital marketing or design thinking, or some of those like more targeted of who we partner with. That's going to be a good pathway for them. And then we have great alumni, and I would really like to engage them more for their skill sets and their networks and their partnerships to come back and give back to our students, but also give them some real world. When I left school, here's how it looked for me. So those are some of the pieces that I would really like to see us develop more in the future.
I mean, that's fantastic. That's not just dreaming. It seems like you have a whole plan, Suzie.
There's always a plan.
Well,
and sometimes my plan goes down to H. There's plan A, there's plan B. but I really think that that's the pathway for our students. And to be a small center, it is doable to build some of those pieces out. We have a strong group of career design advisors that's handling the day-to-day work with our students. And then I'm out there trying to really build that partnership and get businesses on campus so they can see our students in action.
Well, I can't wait to see all of these plans for the McCree Center in action. Thank you so much for joining me today, Suzie.
Thank you for having me. This was very exciting. I love to talk about our students, and I love to talk about career services. So any opportunity I get, I jump on the chance.
Thank you for listening to this interview with Suzie Dull, Interim Executive Director of the McCree Center for Life Success and Director of Employer Relations and Workforce Development for Mary Baldwin University. This has been a production of Mary Baldwin University with music courtesy of Ivy Music via Pixabay and technical assistance, as well as a beautiful podcasting studio provided by the Stanton Innovation Hub. I've been Keith Taylor. Thanks again for listening, and I look forward to the next time.